This is a special tack-on segment for a couple of shows to let you know about some August, September, October, potentially out into November shows. If you're looking behind the scenes, you can see I've got my I Remember Never Forget 9/11 shirt on and the 9/11 background, since we're going to be talking about things that will drop over September, October. This being August when I'm recording, and Hadassah Troy will be on, and she talks about how painful experiences become the birthplace of blessings. That's her book. How does Brooks, not Brooks, Garth Brooks. I'm getting dyslexic with his name. How does Garth Brooks' Unanswered Prayers song relate? Hope you'll tune in to find out, as well as Star Trek V, the movie. How does that relate? I hope these little teases mean you'll tune in when it drops, or depending on where this additional segment gets tacked on, may have already dropped in August, so please check it out. Another, I should say, August drop will be David Shine, holding up the note there. Uh, David Shine is the best-selling author of Bad Deal for America and The Decline of America, 100 Years of Leadership Failures. Obvious tie-in to the politics part of the ChristiTutionalist Politics podcast show. And in September, or going forward, loosely planned for September, October timeframe, M.H. Ulrich comes on, and we talk also, not another movie reference in there, but I hope you'll check in to find out how the discussion with her brings up C.S. Lewis, but Star Trek again. Right. Likely two episodes in a row, or an episode apart. This time, Star Trek, the original series, a episode called Parallel. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the old series, they go to a planet and they worship the sun. They assume it's SUN, the sun above. But as you get to the end, you find out it is Christ having visited another planet, the Son of God on another planet, which is really kind of blows my mind, knowing that Gene Roddenberry was an atheist, that such an episode would have even been remotely allowed and considered. But, I want to give him credit. There were wide variety of topics covered by that show. So please tune in to the M.H. Elric episode to find out how that Star Trek episode factors in. If you recall, if you've been with me a long time, last year, 9/11, I had on my friend from Wham Radio, Your American Heritage Show, Ed Bondarenka. I plan for now that the episode again will drop a new one, not a repeat, a new one on 9/11 with Ed Bondarenka. But it is not, while we'll touch on that somber Remembrance Day, it is not a show dedicated to that. But I just thought that was a logical day time frame to have him back on, since he was on last 9/11. Leslie Hall. Now think Leslie Nielsen. By Leslie, we're talking a male here. Leslie Hall, and a great conversation with him, and we talk MLK in there, and we talk about addiction. So that's an important show. I hope you'll tune in. We need a youth perspective, so I've got a couple coming up. Christopher Armstrong Stevenson, a young man, a high schooler, will be on so that we could talk a youth perspective, a zoomer to boomer. I use that word term advisedly. You'll see why a little later. Eddie Yuda Man, man with two N's though, but you know me, I can't pass the lame pun, so I call him Eddie Yuda Man will be on. He's a Christian music singer songwriter. I'm going to have a few of them on, so I hope you'll tune in for that. William R. Douglas, I'm holding up to the camera my notes from that. The Sum of All Our Anger, Civil War 2.0 book cover. You could see if you're looking behind the scenes. Obviously, with all that's going on, and my friend Michael Gardner, aka Savage, who wrote the book America's Political Battle, a current civil war in terms of a cold civil war. We're in a battle. We're in a civil war. It's just not shooting at each other yet. Whereas William, his book goes into the what if it turns hot over the next few years. His, like my Terror Strikes book, is historical fiction. There is some fact, some fiction that lends credence to the fact that these issues boil over, may lead to a hot civil war. Another singer-songwriter, Richard Lynch, will be on. We will be mentioning a few. Barry Gibb, Conway Twitty. Tune in to find how they factor into that episode. Christine Sposato. Hey, we're both Italiano, so we joke Italian desserts. But seriously, you've heard me talk about conservatives being censored on school campuses, and she indeed created a group, studentvoicessilence.com. So we will talk further about that. Another singer-songwriter, Robert Ross, will be on. If you don't have to like country, you shouldn't have to like country to tune in. But if you are a country fan, obviously you really want to tune in to find out how and why Freddie Fender, David Allan Coe get mentioned in the episode, as well as I lost my place. Looking, Conway Twitty again, George Jones, and Vern Gosdin. He brought that name up. That was a name I hadn't heard in a long time. So please tune in for that. Robert Boog. Ever since I was in high school, we heard the rumor and conspiracy theory that William Shakespeare didn't write his stuff. I venture into that discussion with Robert Boog. James Gebhardt is on. And in Who is Babysitting Whom, we've talked about honor your mother and father, right? Who is the parent? The left wants your children to be wards of the state. This is why they hate and want to destroy Christianity. That honor your mother and father part is in the way of their turning all children of the nation into wards of the fascistic state. Remember, I've talked before, Hitlery and the warping of It Takes a Village, which is biblical, not Hitlery's It Takes the Fascistic State warped version of it. Michelle Jewsbury, if you remember, I had Trent Brock on in the past. He has a chapter in a book about survivors, hardships in life. Michelle Jewsbury has got a volume 1 out, volume 2, 3, 4 will be coming. Collections of survivors of hardships, so people know they are not alone. And indeed, there may be, hopefully is, you're not alone. There is help. There can be light at the end of the tunnel or around the corner. I mentioned Zoomers to Boomers. If you see behind the scene there, you see a little logo there. Zoomers to Boomers. Roger Landry of the Liberty Beacon Project, again, I write for thelibertybeacon.com. I am on TLB Talk. That's all part of the TLB Project. He's founder of that. He has a show with a young lady, not going to turn 18 soon, but not yet. So, a young lady, hence Zoomers to Boomers. They have a show together. So, again, we get that youth perspective here that's much needed. And lastly, I'm going to mention Luann Hunt, another singer songwriter. If you're at all a Patsy Cline fan, or your parents or your grandparents were a Patsy Cline fan, you want to turn into turn. I cannot talk. You want to tune into that show to see how Patsy Cline has factored into Luann Hunt's life. And uh, Patsy Cline kind of lives on now through Luann Hunt. Thank you all. Just wanted to give you a brief sneak peek at coming midweek Wednesday guest appearance drops. Take care. God bless.